Chapter 18 is a long old chapter. You'll see it in 2 parts, but it's a goodie. Let's do this. Lucky, Bixer, Frolics, and Professor Byzantine sat around the table in the main cabin. Mystica stood at the stove, stirring a pot. A familiar smell was coming from it. That strange mixture of gunpowder, chocolate, and spice. This was its source. She dipped a spoon into the pot and ladled some thick, dark liquid out into small cups. Everyone got one. Ah, Oxo! Zoxo, sighed the professor. How I've missed this! Lucky warmed his hands on the cup and sniffed the drink inside, savouring its aroma. Is it some kind of chocolate? He asked. Bixer snorted. If you water it down with milk and sugar because it's too strong for you, then yeah, it'll be something like chocolate. But this is Oxo, the real deal. Lucky took a cautious sip. The Oxo tasted smoky, fiery, sweet and strong. It was more complex and intoxicating than any chocolate he knew, and left a warm, bright aftertaste that sparkled on his tongue. The sensation was so pleasurable, he felt his muscles relaxing, his insides warming, his whole body filling with satisfaction. As he drank it down, he pulled out the astrolabe and placed it on the table. He touched his fingertips to the cool black metal. One moment, said Professor Byzantine. Before you attempt to use that device again, may I ask if you fully understand its operations? Not really, Lucky admitted. I've only used it once. And to be fair, said Mystica, Ozymandias hardly gave him the best instructions. Very well, said the professor, polishing his spectacles. Then, will you allow me to share some of our deepest secrets with you, our ancient knowledge of the stars and their true nature? A shiver ran through Lucky, but so did a silent thrill. I've always loved the stars, he said, taking another sip of Oxo. Excellent, said the professor. So kindly tell me, what is a star? Lucky summoned up all the things he'd been taught at school, all the insights of human science. A star is a great ball of burning gas, he began confidently. Oh, groaned Professor. He bit his whiskers. Frolics, for heaven's sake, tell him what a star is. Hey, don't ask me, chuckled Frolics. He drained his Oxo in one great gulp, leaned back, and put his hooves up on the table. I ain't never gonna be a star talker. Frolics, cried Mystica. Not this nonsense again, and not in front of... Peace, Mystica. He is still young. Remember what we were like at his age? Fear not, Frolics. One day you shall have my powers and my phoenix. A phoenix always accompanies the star talker of the past, you know. Bazik! Chortled the little bird, as if dismissing the idea. Yeah, right, said Frolics, equally dismissive. I mean, look at me. He grinned. I'm nothing like you, Prof. There are many ways of being a star talker, replied Professor Byzantine. Mystica has her way, I have mine, and I dare say you and Bixer will have yours. Frolics laughed the idea off, but Bixer seemed intrigued. So you think a star talker could be someone who likes fighting? She asked. A warrior? Why not? Said the professor. I think you can be anything you wish to be. Bix's eyes went wide, and her needles lit up. Well, if you asked me, I'd say a star is the place where everything comes from. It's the origin, the beginning. Bravo, Bixer, said the professor, applauding her. You see, Lucky, everything in the universe is made of atoms and elements that were created in the hearts of our stars billions of years ago. Even our bodies. You are entirely made of stardust, and so is everyone else, and indeed every single thing that exists. And because it all came from the same source, it is all connected. Connected by dark matter, Do you see? Lucky glanced again at the astrolabe. The 12 symbols around its circumference were beginning to glimmer with light. What is dark matter, anyway? He asked. The invisible force that holds the universe together, replied the professor. He threw his arms out wide and fluttered his fingertips. You cannot see it, but it is everywhere. If you destroy it, as a dark matter bomb does, then you break the connections that hold things together. But if you embrace it, why, then you can do anything. With a dark matter drive, you can follow those connections. And because they span such vast distances, you can travel faster than light. Thus, we call it the speed of dark. He pointed triumphantly at Lucky's astrolabe. That object is a guide to those connections, a device that makes dark matter visible. Do you see it now? I'm intrigued by this. Lucky gaped at the professor. Most of his words had washed right over his head. I'm not sure, he said. Then tell me, did you notice lines of silver light when you were in the astrolabe? Yes! Lucky's heart thumped painfully. The memory of those infinite swirling lines still scared him. Those lines, said the professor, represent dark matter connections. They show the invisible threads that hold the universe together. To follow the connections, you simply choose one of them. Move your consciousness along it, and the astrolabe will take you there. Nothing could be simpler. I don't know, Professor, said Lucky. It was scary. Infinity is a fearsome sight for those unaccustomed to it. But I assure you, there is nothing to fear. If you panic, merely think of something that matters to you, something that makes you happy, as you did in my market stall. Precisely the same kind of self-control is needed to operate an astrolabe. He's not very good at self-control, grunted Bixer. I've been trying to teach him to control his body with astral martial arts, but it's useless. He never gets any better. I don't see how thinking about something happy could help. Lucky couldn't respond. He was staring at the ground, ears warm, face flushing, because it was Bixer herself that he'd thought of in the market stall. She peered at him suspiciously. What did you think of, anyway? She demanded. Every part of him blushed. Oh, just some stuff, he mumbled. Whatever it is, said the professor, it will help. Hold on to it as you would to life itself, and take your time. Start with something simple. Ask the astrolabe to show you routes to the nearest planet, for example, before asking about your father. Are you ready? Lucky took a deep breath and summoned all his courage. He held the black metal disc in his hands and concentrated. The dials began to move. The wheels began to spin. Once again, he felt that sensation of limitless power thrumming beneath his fingertips. The astrolabe picked up speed, pulsing like some starry dynamo, shimmering and shining with light as never before. And then Lucky went into the astrolabe again. Right, halfway through this chapter, we'll come back to it next. I'm interested to see what Lucky discovers or explores in the astrolabe this time. What do you think about what the professor said about the astrolabe? What have you realised that this astrolabe is possible of doing? What do you think its purpose is? Right, back shortly with chapter 18, part 2.